Hello, and welcome to Recapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We want to hear your thoughts on the movies and shows we review.
Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel, and we will read them during the show.
Or reach out to us on social media. We love talking all things entertainment and pop culture with you.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you.
Delora, we are back for another recap. This is only our second series of the year. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
We are sliding on overseas because we are going to recap The Gentleman. Available on Netflix as of March 7th. Quick summary. When aristocratic Eddie inherits the family estate, rediscovers that it's home to an enormous weed empire and its proprietors aren't going anywhere. Created by Guy Ritchie. Let's talk about this cast. Theo James as Eddie Horniman. Yes. Kaya Scodelario as Susie Glass, Daniel Ings as Freddie Horniman, Michael Vu as Jimmy, Harry Goodwins as Jack Glass, Giancarlo Esposito as Stanley Johnston with a T, and Ray Winstone as Bobby Glass. Reviews. Rotten Tomatoes, 74% critic score, 86% audience score, and 90% of Google users gave this series a thumbs up. Delora, what is your grade for The Gentleman?
Oh, The Gentleman. Longtime listeners of our podcast will know that I love a good British moment. This is definitely included. I also love Theo James. So I was like, of course I'll check this out. I want to keep him employed as long as possible. Because shout out to the Time Traveler's Wife. That show wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as this show. This show was stylish. This show was funny. It was fast. It was a lot of fun. But towards the end, it was a little tricky. Especially with understanding what exactly is going on. You know what I mean? And we'll get to it because this is drugs and guns. There's some backstabbing going on. And so I was just like, I wish it had more of an impact in some ways, because I was just like, what just happened? With that being said, fashionable, stylish. And when I say stylish, I mean just everything, the sets, the clothes, the conversations, the interactions, the walking into places. I'm telling you, Sis and Theo had a strut everywhere they went. I just loved all of it. And I give it an A minus.
Okay. Well, if y'all have heard me talk about this series in the last episode, it was also a hidden gem previously. It is one of my favorite shows of the year so far. Will probably rank by the end of the year when we do our favorite shows. And so for me, it's an A. I watched this show originally when it came out, not having any expectations for it whatsoever. I'm just like, oh, new series. Looks like an interesting premise. Turn it on. When I tell y'all, I watched it repeatedly thereafter for weeks. And to your point, I think there was just so many elements I really enjoyed. It has such a great cast. I really love the sets. You know, we're in this very aristocratic environment, but it's being offset by the underbelly of like crime and drugs. But it also has such great humor. And I love the way a lot of things were shot. Like, particularly one of my favorite scenes is when Freddie, spoiler alert, let me go ahead and say that now. Freddie is finding out he's not going to be the one to inherit the money. And you see, and like, you hear him, but you see him in different moments just kind of going off, and it was just so ridiculous and over the top, but I just loved the way that was shot because it just added so much to the humor of the situation, right? So I just think those type of elements just made me really fall in love with this series. To your point, the end I do want to talk about a little bit in terms of some things that I kind of wish had been different, but overall it was such a great ride. I really hope this gets greenlit for a season 2. And yeah, it's an A for me. So again, spoiler alert, let's get into the good of The Gentleman. So I didn't know till I got into the series that there was a 2019 film that preceded it starring Matthew McConaughey and like this pretty star-studded stacked cast. I haven't seen it though. Have you seen the film?
I did not see the film, but I did know about it. And so when I saw there was a show, I was like, what? Like, because our dude from Crazy Rich Asians is in that one too. Henry, I forget his last name. But yeah, no, I didn't see it.
I haven't seen it yet. I don't see it available on any streamers that I have. Otherwise, I probably would have gone back and watched it. But it does differ from the series. So the series does, like, it's still crime and drugs, but the series stands on its own. So you don't have to, for those listening, have to have watched the movie to understand this series whatsoever. It's set like in the same universe, but not the same characters and all of that. So as we get going in the series, it really starts with the Duke of Halstead passing away. And instead of passing the estate and title down to the firstborn, which is the custom thing and like right of birth order and all this, who's Freddie in the family, is passed on to secondborn Eddie, who's been away serving in the military. Now, this last watch, I realized that when they read the will, Daddy Dearest actually left Freddie absolutely nothing. He left the sister the boat. He left the mama an allowance. He even left Jeff like the cottage, a lifetime.
He did.
He left Freddie nothing.
He's also a Kelsey's uncle because he looks like he's related to Travis. And
did Freddie's reaction tell you everything about why he would have been passed over?
Yes, absolutely. But for me, it was solidified later on for sure.
When I saw him, the way he spazzed out, I was like, your reaction and like the difference in his temperament in general that you could tell off the bat between him and Eddie. I was like, yeah. And even his dad on his deathbed saying like, I need you to take care of your brother. He won't survive without you.
Yes.
I know you've talked about birth order a lot. You were the oldest child. I am the youngest in my family dynamic that I grew up with. And so it is interesting to see like a older sibling who relies on their younger sibling in that way.
Yep.
In that way. Yeah. I've definitely seen it, but it's
exactly.
It's always interesting to see. And, Freddie's a mess, right? Freddie turns around and tells him like, yo, I'm $8 million in debt to a crime family due to a real estate venture gone wrong. So, Eddie being this generous brother that he is, his problem becomes Eddie's problem. And the estate is not liquid. He's like, listen, this title means nothing.
Right.
This house is falling apart. We don't
like
have
most. Yeah.
I think the lawyer said basically like you're asset rich and cash poor. Right.
Yep.
So they got to figure this out. And it turns out dear old dad was hiding some shit too, right? Because he was allowing a weed empire to operate on their property for $5 million a year cut run by the Glass family. Susie Glass being, as I put in my notes, the HBIC. What were your impressions of Susie?
I was like, oh, she must be lethal because I feel like people like her who are impeccably dressed and sharp tongued. I'm like, oh, she will cut you in a minute. Like, you know what I mean?
She was fabulous.
Yes, she was.
Her wardrobe throughout this series, I was like, you are fabulous.
And the color lip, not a hair out of place. Like, I'm always impressed by people like that too. I'm like, y'all are up at all hours of the night. But you look refreshed and ready to go. Exactly. What are your secrets?
Moisturized, baby. And that's not easy to do in London because it's gray and dreary.
Exactly.
But one other thing about Susie that I admire is she is able to keep her cool throughout every scenario pretty much that happens.
Yep.
And I'm like, that temperament that you have, there's no reason to ever not understand why you're put in this position, right? Like you definitely, just like Eddie, you have the disposition needed to get shit done.
Absolutely. I agree.
To continue operations and not have to sell the estate, Susie bargains to reduce Freddie's debt to $4 million, and then Eddie sells the family wine collection for another $3 million. But Freddie, being Freddie, takes millions of dollars from the safe to place a bet on a freaking boxing match, which was ultimately just a scam. I think this was the point in the series where, I mean, you already get the sense that Freddie is his own enemy, but this is like, you want to die.
Yeah. You have zero self-preservation skills. None. It's like negative. Because his reasoning alone is just not sound.
Your brother is over here scrambling, trying to save your life, and
again,
you got to go put some money on a bet.
He's working harder than Freddie.
Exactly.
Fuck him. At some point, I was going to say this later, but I'll say it now. At some point, you just got to wash your hands. Your family's burden don't always have to be yours, okay?
Them's the facts. But the chickens do kind of come home to roost, and I'm being quite literal about that because Freddie is forced to dress like a chicken, dance and apologize to settle that additional $4 million. And due to this humiliation and coke rage, because he is a cokehead, he kills,
of course he is,
the drug dealer Tommy Dixon, who he was indebted to. In this moment, I would have been tempted to murder Freddie as well.
Easy work.
Give me the gun. Give me the gun.
Unbelievable. I think this is part of the reason why I probably was drawn into the show, because it elicits so many visceral reactions out of me. Like, I was stressed. Okay. Yeah. Stressed.
Yeah.
And Eddie, his temperament, also, kudos to you, boo, because I would have been, I'm already trying to get you out of debt. You had one job.
Bro. I don't know how Eddie did it. I'm like, first of all, I don't know how Freddie has survived this long to this age.
He would have been gone with the drug dealers he's been dealing with.
Bruh, how has he not got by now? Because he's just so completely reckless.
And also, kudos to the Duke, the former Duke, because talk about knowing your children. You know, I like I said, I love a British Bowman. I've definitely seen, like, you know, people being passed over for inheritance, and it's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Like, no, the father is like, you ain't built for this.
Not at all. Not only are you not built for this, no one would survive.
No one. Everything would be lost.
Yes, it would be turned to ash and rubble. Remind me to wear tracksuits any drug deals that I ever go to, because Jethro was ready when this shit went sideways. Oh my gosh. I said, now you don't stand a chance, because you know you are in a vast estate and you gonna get caught. But he was ready. He tried. He made a run. He did his best. Poor Jethro. Freddie's impulsiveness, though, like I said, did not think through or care about the crime family that was about to come looking for Tommy. What'd you think of his brother, the gospel, who would read from the Bible as him and his crew killed people?
I was terrified. I'm like, not the mobster that's in charge of a church. Talking about loose screws. I'm like, oh, that man has to be insane. I would not want to be caught up in any of those crosshairs at all.
Sitting there choking people out to death while reading from the Bible. I was like, oh, that's diabolical, right? Because you like, if someone who does stuff like that thinks they have God on their side, who can tell them different?
That is what I am saying. No, thank you.
Not the God you serve, huh, Delora? So things got a bit messy, but they did get the gospel off of their backs. my question that I was thinking this last watch was, when did Eddie actually have time to heal from getting shot? He got shot in the stomach and kept it moving. No downtime, no hospital visit, never even saw the man get stitches.
That's true. That's true. Maybe they were playing up the whole military angle.
Has to be, right? He's like, when I'm in the trenches, we got to keep going. So has to be. What were your thoughts on the plush prison that we find Bobby Glass in when Susie and Eddie pop up for a visit and a chat? I mean, this man had better accommodations than us.
Honestly, why would he want to leave?
Top chef preparing all your meals.
You know, I did think like, oh yeah, this seems about right.
I was like, is this where Martha went? Like, even Martha suffered a little bit.
She did. She had to smuggle in stuff for her crafts. You remember that?
I don't remember that.
These are facts.
No.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, if he's this top crime lord, this sounds about right.
I can't imagine. I'm like, is this people's tax dollars? Because, like, who's paying for this? Do they pay for this? And that's why they get such nice accommodations? Because
that, and it's like, is he in jail for political reasons? Like, versus actually serving time? Because he's still doing whatever the heck he wants to, right?
They weren't even worried about having knives in there. I mean, he was talking about, we got a sauna, we got this, we got that. I'm like, bro, if that was prison, send everybody to prison. Because
I know. But apparently Switzerland got one of those nice prisons, though. You remember when ASAP got caught up?
Well, remember even on Atlanta when we saw what's the name go to prison, and he was like, yo, just leave me in here for a little bit longer. Let me get in this nap.
Yeah. What was his name? Something boy? Doughboy?
His name is Alfred, but I can't remember his rap name right now. Anyway, y'all know who we talk about. So Eddie, as a part of this chat, he's wanting the glass operation off his land by the end of the year. One thing I note from drug shows across the board is that the only way out is prison or death. Why did Eddie think that he was going to be different?
Because he didn't sign them up. He was like, this ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't know what my father was thinking, but it's a no. Thank you. Have a great day.
I love how he thinks that he didn't inherit this burden. Like, oh, I could just easily be let out of this agreement because I wasn't the one who signed it. Like, we are involved in a criminal enterprise. This is for life. Unless they decide you're not useful anymore, we in this for life. Jimmy, who oversees the weed strains and growth, was out doing deliveries. This was one of the hardest episodes for me. He fucked around and fell in love with a stranger at his favorite fast food joint. My first thing about this is, as a deliverer of drugs, you should never have a regular spot that you stop.
Ashley, as a deliverer of drugs, you don't leave the car until the delivery is done. Maybe you can pick something up on the way back home. But the idea of stopping with that
at least
type
run
of cargo,
through a drive-through, baby.
Don't leave the car. He was an idiot, truly.
And it was a con. It was a setup, right? Stole the van and his supply. My thought about this too is, as meticulous as Susie is about her business, why would she trust Jimmy's goofy ass with deliveries?
Well, I felt like he was great in cultivating the weed, right? Like, correct. So you stay stationary because you're probably high anyway.
Exactly.
But she was probably trying to have a slim operation, but it was like, yeah, no. I would not have left him responsible.
I feel like you have your henchmen be the deliverers.
Exactly.
You have your intimidating guys with
muscles.
Guns.
Exactly. Same.
So that was the one time I questioned Susie's judgment. Like I said, Susie throughout the series is so in control, so calculated with everything. This was a big misstep to me with her. That customer that was expecting the weed, since it wasn't delivered, asked for a favor. He wanted them to steal a car. No biggie, Lamborghini. But it wasn't what the crew was expecting because it was actually cocaine that was being run through those cars. And the lady running the place was vicious.
I mean, Sis had a machete.
When she macheted that dude to death, and I mean, I was like, she looked like a crazed monkey or something. I didn't even know how
I
to
was
explain it.
thinking, what do they call those witches? Banshees or something? Like, because she
Yeah.
was screaming.
Some
and
type
it
of
was...
creature, some type of animal or a creature. I was like, there are so many ways to kill people. You must take extreme pleasure in macheting somebody to death.
That was insane.
Now, to her point, did she send a message? Absolutely. Would I ever darken her doorstep again? Absolutely not.
No, thank you.
But did I kind of want Freddie to deal with a little bit of the ramifications of his actions? Yes, I'm not going to lie. She could have taken off like a toe. I wouldn't have been mad.
How will he learn? That's my question.
Because Eddie told you, leave, go home. Go home. You
and
sat
his dumb
there.
ass parked, and then the car didn't want to start. I just cannot.
The way that black dude ran at the car, I was cackling. I was like, who runs like that? Who runs? He looked like an athlete, but slow.
Again, I can't believe he thought he was going to inherit this state the way he acts.
He said, take it up with God. Eddie, still convinced that he can get Susie and the weed operation out the house, chats it up with one of Freddie's old classmates who has also just lost his father. But unfortunately, this gentleman is a collector of Hitler artifacts, including one of his alleged balls. Give me your thoughts.
So, looks can be so deceiving. We had the introduction of his father, who at the end of his life went out in the blaze of glory, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when all is revealed of his son, I was like, oh, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Correct.
Because what? When Eddie was like, this is mid at best. And he was like...
and anyone who thinks otherwise is deluded.
And it was like he was going to jizz himself talking about him. I was just like, no, this is not okay.
It was so bizarre and so unexpected. And this actor who plays this character is another guy who I never freaking like. He's in the Apple TV Plus show I've talked about, Slow Horses. I despised him in that show as well. I'm just like, I knew you were up to no good because I just don't like your face. Like, there's something about you that I never like in the projects that you're in. And this is obviously no exception. But the fact that he wanted to be like this huge movie star with these type of secrets, I was like, oh, he about to be like Armie Hammer or somebody like that. You know? Somebody whose skeletons fall out the closet at some point. I was
going to say, eating people, Hitler, yeah, same level.
Yep. Keeping a ball, he was weird.
Exactly. And the fact that the dog ate it, I was like, they are ridiculous, whoever is responsible for this show. Like, y'all are fooling.
I was like, is the dog going to get sick? Because that's been sitting in formaldehyde for a long time. Hopefully it's okay.
Gross.
Yeah. So more shenanigans ensue. Money gets stolen. There's a poisoning. Traders are working for Susie. Usual costs of business in the drug game, I suppose. But let's chat about Susie's brother, Jack. He's a professional boxer who makes a bit of a mess by effing the girlfriend of the guy who washes Susie's money. Why would you punch a professional boxer in the face?
Love makes you do crazy things, apparently, Ashley.
He had lost his mind.
He truly did. And the funny part is she apparently didn't want him. Like, sir, did you take the time to let that marinate? You know what I mean?
He was deep. He was in deep in his feelings. And for her to do that in his face.
That is what I am saying. Like, you couldn't even leave the building.
No love or respect. And if I was Susie, I could not go in the room where my brother is having sex. Like, so she better than me. Cause
well, she didn't know what was happening.
We all knew what was happening. She saw them on camera. She saw them going into the locker room. She knew what was about to go down. Couldn't be me. Disgusting. But Eddie's impatience and lack of trust in the Glass family, letting them out of the business, he like really causes some serious issues, right? He goes to Stanley Johnston with a T, who's been causing some shenanigans himself because he's interested in taking over the Glass family business. And he also goes to Jack's promoter, Henry. This was a huge mistake. Almost got Jack killed in a rigged boxing match. This was hard for me to watch. This is hard to sit through because he put Jack in a freaking coma.
He did. And honestly, I was really scared considering we just got off our recap of Roadhouse, which ended in someone not surviving. So I was like, wait, is this what this is? Is this what this is? Yeah. And again, this is like our second rigged fight. So what is legit though in this world? Is it just for entertainment and like it's just fascinating.
It's about the
it's
money.
all about money.
I didn't see this coming either. Like, I didn't see this whole flip and Henry all of a sudden trying to come for Susie and all this stuff. You know, when he was first introduced, he seemed so harmless.
He did.
And so I was like, oh, you like really a snake in the grass. And then I also wondered, like, why would you, the physical differences between Jack and this guy he was fighting were so large. I was like, who sanctioned this?
But why would Jack agree to it, though? That was my question,
arrogance.
Too.
It must have just been arrogance, in my opinion, because I'm like, you don't send like a heavyweight with like a welterweight or a featherweight, you know? Like, there's a reason why there's the classes.
Agreed.
And so that alone, and then the fact that his intuition told him it wasn't going to be good because he was nervous. He was like, I never get nervous.
That's true. That's so true.
His gut was telling him. So as a part of this whole scenario with this fight, Freddie shows up, has a little chat with Susie. He tries to betray Eddie. He basically tells her, well, if something would befall Eddie, you notice everything will go to me. And she was like, you see who that is? That's my brother. And I would do anything for him. Think about that. Her and Eddie were at odds, and she still had more loyalty to him than his own brother. Should Freddie have got at this point?
I would not have shared a tear for Freddie. I wouldn't. His behavior was so reckless. And again, I felt like Freddie did a lot. And Freddie should have been thanking Eddie profusely for the things that he has done throughout this series to protect him. And I feel like the gratitude just was not there.
Oh my gosh. When he told Eddie about it and told him, like, I've been having some really dark thoughts and this and that, that's where you start, right? You tell him, like, I'm having some really dark thoughts. I'm not doing well. But you had already gone to Susie. And if Susie had been serious in that moment, again, especially because they were at odds and she had killed your brother, bro.
But you saw Theo's face when Freddie said that. He was just like, really?
Yeah. Like,
now.
After all I've done for you. I was like, if he had given them the kiss of death from The Godfather, I wouldn't have blamed him. You broke my heart, Freddie, you broke my heart. All these shenanigans ultimately come down to Stanley Johnston. Again, he's been trying to take over the Glass Empire, and he's been doing a lot of maneuvering behind the scenes, including that whole setup with Jimmy, right? He's been doing his thing, Jack, all of it. I hated seeing Eddie and Susie at odds. She almost got Eddie and Freddie killed when she thought that he betrayed her and told the gospel of truth about his brother's death. I'm still not sure quite how Bobby persuaded him not to kill them. They were at the house, locked and loaded. I don't know if there's anything that I would have thought that he could have said to stop them once they knew the truth.
Yeah, I understand what you said because it just seemed like, so you had all this buildup just for him to go away with a phone call that just seemed unrealistic. You know me, I was team Eddie the entire time, even when Susie was on her own warpath. I'm like, sis, don't even think about it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a great point.
At the end of the day, her and her father were trying to keep him in shackles. And I didn't appreciate that. playing all these games. Oh, if you wash 15 million here, if you do this and you do that and you playing with the timelines, like, no, don't play with me with my time and my money, And I'm like, you would have been better off calling a thing than playing these games.
I think that's a great point in terms of never necessarily siding with Susie and her father because of the fact that they were just like playing him and trying to keep him under their thumb. But I will say in Susie's defense that I started to feel like, well, at least she's trying to keep him alive, because if she had just kind of let him do his own thing, her daddy was going to kill him. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether he knows it or not. That's why I said I don't know why he thought that he was going to be different. How many crime shows and things have you watched, Eddie? Because they're not going to let you out of this contract and out of this deal unless it's their choice. So right. I started to feel like, well, Susie has a soft spot for you where she's ultimately trying to protect you from her father, because her father was like, listen, if he don't do what I need him to do, I'm going to chop his head off. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think, why I hated seeing them at odds too, because I'm like, when they're on the same side, they make such a good team.
They make a fantastic team, but I will say, just going through the series, I'm like, y'all got one wacky errand after another. Like, will it ever end? Because my thought was like, oh yeah, drug business, but because it's illegal, I'm sure this is where all the shenanigans come in, right?
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that made this series a little bit more fun too is that it is just weed. I don't mean to say just, but to me, just.
Yeah.
Like if they were in cocaine or if they were in some of the harder drugs, I think it would feel a little bit more hardcore. But it's like, it's weed, That's fine.
That I can see that. I would agree. That's funny.
So in the grand finale, Bobby claims he's putting his business up for sale, right? So you see him by carrier pigeon getting bids from all the main players that we've seen throughout the series so far. But it turns out that it was really just a test. He was testing Susie and Eddie and wanting them to essentially have skin in the game in his business, which their ultimate investment was $237 million. Killed all the competition in the process and got Stanley Johnston thrown in jail right alongside Bobby Glass. So one thing that I want to say about this wrap up and finale, it was convoluted. It was a lot going on, but also it was not high stakes enough for me in terms of our central characters. To have this much going on, to have this much potentially go wrong, somebody needed to die that was in the immediate family.
Whew, you wanted that as a plot.
I think it was necessary. I think it didn't feel high stakes enough because no one died. Like if it had to be Freddie, let Freddie, or even Wham Tam, his wife, somebody needed to die, because I feel like Eddie is getting so comfortable that he needed to be jolted back to reality. The fact that this ain't no game though.
Right. Exactly.
Like I feel like the family needed to feel it. And that was something that I wish they had done, because I think it was just wrapped up too nicely in a bow.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting. I saw this article on Forbes. It says a new uneasy update about The Gentleman season 2 renewal on Netflix. And basically, Theo was talking to Deadline Contenders TV and said it wasn't genuinely discussed. He's talking about season 2.
Right.
I think it would be a wrangling process with all of us and Guy. And he said, but I also think with a show like this, if you're going to do more, you need to come up with a really interesting conceit for season 2. So he says, because as much as we enjoyed it and as fun as it was, it needs narrative drive. So that's giving Zendaya season 3 Euphoria type of answers, because it is a pretty star-studded type of show, or people doing a lot of work, working actors, but the fact that there hasn't been like any confirmation. And the other thing that was interesting is it did not say that it was a limited series, so
Yeah, I
And
think it has legs. I read that article yesterday too. I think it has legs, but to his point, they will have to come back strong to be able to have a strong showing for season 2. I mean, this show has been so popular; it's still been in Netflix's top 10.
yeah, it has. I think I'm excited for Guy Ritchie's other project though, real quick. This is they talked about that's probably what his focus is. The one starring Henry Cavill. Shout out to him about to be a baby daddy. Um
He's in one of my hidden gems today.
yeah, I'm here for it, but I agree with Theo. The story has to be solid. And
Mhm.
because they literally killed off everybody this season,
All the
there's going to have to be
baddies.
a new big bad unless Stanley's the new big bad again. Because I felt like he was underutilized in some ways. Like I was ready for Stanley to do more. And I
Mm.
don't think he did as much as I think he could have because he makes a fantastic villain. I mean, he's a fantastic actor, period. I love seeing him whenever he's on screen. And so, yeah, very interesting.
One
I
additional
think,
thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the actual series is the mom's affair with Jeff and the
yes.
fact that Charlotte is his child. What did you think about that whole scenario?
So, in the initial interactions between her and Jeff, aka Kelsey's uncle, um, doesn't he look like them? Anyway, I was like, ooh, something's there. Like something's there. And then I'm like, are they, you know, is the flame of flickering now that she's a widow and
Hmm.
everything like that? And then when you find out, like, oh no, it had been there. There's an entire baby.
And she
Yeah,
said he
that
was the one who wanted to keep it a secret. I was like, oh, you said throw the marriage away.
married to a duke and all. Okay. Those are definitely some ovaries there. Um, but I thought it was sweet what ended up happening with his daughter, though. I thought that was like,
She said,
she's
you're the
like,
most
you taught me
impressive man
everything.
I've ever known. I was like, oh, he was. He's solid. I mean, he was a solid
Yes,
presence and character
he
throughout the
truly was.
series.
Yeah, the
You can
backbone
see
of
why
that
Mama
family.
slid. Yeah, you can see why Mama slid into that cottage.
Security.
Yeah. I was like, it's also par for the course, probably in that type of environment, right? Like, mommy's
Easy.
having an affair, daddy's having an affair. It is what it is.
Because
Illegitimate offspring be damned.
marriage of convenience. Exactly.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting. So any final thoughts before we move on to hidden gems?
Yes, final thoughts. Again, I wanted to bring up the mom and her affair. I thought that was fascinating. The episode with all the cousins, that was ridiculous. I mean, that's the one thing about this show that made it so funny is just like they are so random and so ridiculous. You just have to laugh, truly. This show was a lot of fun. Shout out to the main cast. Again, Freddie hated his character, but everything was well acted, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see a season 2. And I did wonder if they were going to try to make something happen between Eddie and Susie. And I'm very happy that they didn't because I didn't need it. And it's not because of my crush on Theo. It has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
I just felt like it was too hairy of a situation for like that to be in the way. Like I didn't need it personally.
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating that they didn't really dwell on either of their love lives in that way, besides some wink winks between Theo's character and the princess. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
seems like she's into you, but maybe, y'all been friends so long you ain't really trying her. But yeah, I didn't want him and Susie to get together either, because again, I think they work so well together. I don't want sex to get in the way and
Yes.
complicate the dynamic they have. But if there is a
Right.
season 2, I am curious to see them explore what them running this completely together really, really looks like. So,
Right. And if you think about it, this wasn't really a sex craze kind of show, which I kind of appreciated. Like, a
not
lot
at
of these
all.
MA type of shows, it's very much a mainstay. And to your point with them dealing in weed versus some other hardcore drugs, this was like, still debauchery when it comes to violence, but you know, just a crazy ride, Ashley, a crazy ride.
Indeed. Love this series, guys. If you have not checked out The Gentleman on Netflix, please do. It's fun. It's a great time. All right, Delora, that is it. Let's get into your hidden gems for the week.
All right. I have one hidden gem today. It is X-Men 97, available on Disney Plus. Yes, it is the retro looking X-Men, but it's a brand new series. They had a handful of episodes available on streaming, but they've been, giving us new episode week by week. And these freaking cliffhangers are insane.
You are the second person that I've heard talk about this week. One of my friends, shout out to Raymond, was like, wait till it's done. Don't be like me. So I'll take that advice.
Because they are gagging all of us. Truly, truly. Yeah, the X-Men animated series came out in 1992 to 97. Again, I grew up on it. And so essentially, this is the new rendition of that. So we have Storm, we have Cyclops, we have Wolverine and Jade and freaking Gambit and the Beast. So Magneto. But there are some major changes, and it is PG, but it's there's notes to the audience, the millennial audience, grown up, if that makes any sense.
Yep, I got you.
So check it out, y'all. It's a lot of fun.
All right. I will be, but I'm gonna wait till it's done. Okay. I have a hidden gem and then a special mention. So my hidden gem this week is Argyle, new film that's dropped on Apple TV Plus. It's a spy caper film. Really fun, star-studded cast. Again, Henry Cavill, we were just talking about Samuel L. Jackson, because that man stay in the film. Dua Lipa, John Cena, Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, and Ariana DeBose. I might have fallen asleep, again, not because it was boring, but because that's just what happens to me these days. But what I did see, and I'm going to rewatch again, it was a good time, has some twists and turns. I always love a spy type of film. And this one, Bryce Dallas Howard is actually an author, and she's a writer of spy novels. And it turns out that things that are going on in her novels are based in reality. So that's what kind of gives this uniqueness to the storyline, I'll say. So that's my hidden gem, Argyle. And then my special mention, this is not hidden, but it damn sure is a gem. And I'm so late to this. It's Ozark on Netflix. I have been so desperate for something really good to watch. I said, let me go back in the canon of things that I know people have hyped up.
Yep.
And Ozark is the one that I scrolled past. I said, come on, Jason, let's see what's going on. When I tell y'all I'm so hardcore binge this, I am in season 4. I am in the final season of this freaking show.
No, to be fair, they took forever as they release them.
So I'm glad I'm catching it now, because now I am, when I tell y'all, oh my God, I am so invested. I am so invested. And so I'm trying to take this last season a little slow, because I'm already on episode 5. Most seasons were only 10. This one is long. I think it's 14 episodes, where I'm like, once it's done, it's done.
Right.
And damn, but it is so good. I cannot believe I slept on this series for so long. I am a convert. Ozark did his thing. So that's my special mention for the week. So if y'all have not seen Ozark, join me.
Anna Darby, how was she? The actress?
Anna Darby?
What's her name? I do not have time for this.
Oh, Anna Delvey. Yeah, Julia Garner's character. Yeah. Yes, Ruth. She does her thing. Her faces be killing me. She be making some faces, but yeah, she's super, she's a main cast member. I don't want to give anything away, but she does her thing. Okay. It's a really good cast. Laura Linney, everybody, the kids, everybody.
Okay.
It's a great show. So
really quick, thinking of shows that I would consider watching, I would consider Breaking Bad. Then the Wire. Have you watched The Wire?
I have not watched The Wire. So that's the funny thing. Even with this and drug shows in general, even with The Gentleman, all of those, I usually don't. It's not my general thing that I get really into.
Gravitated towards.
Like Snowfall. Like I said, I still want to go back and watch Snowfall just because I've now seen episodes. I'm like, damn, I kind of want to know how everything wraps up. But Ozark, the difference, and I just had this conversation with my cousin. What's up, Marky? Ozark, the difference between, for me, Ozark and Breaking Bad had a slow start. So when I first started Breaking Bad, I'm like, I don't know what the is going on, and I don't know why I'm supposed to care. With Ozark, episode 1, we are in it.
Oh, okay.
We are in it. And so I'm like, that's what got me. You hooked me so quick because you immediately establish where we're at and what we're doing.
That's what a pilot is supposed to do. So, yeah.
So Ozark reeled me in. Breaking Bad, I've tried to watch that show multiple times. It has not stuck. Maybe in the future, again, because I am trying to find stuff to watch, but it has never moved.
I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure the strike is playing a major role in some of the drought that's going on right now.
Yeah. Give me all the content. I'm gonna have to restart my Max subscription and watch some stuff too. Curb is just ended. Like I just Hacks is about to come back with season 2.
Yes.
Like,
yep.
Y'all just trying to take all my money. All right. Anyway, that's it. That's all for the week, guys. We'll get out of here. We appreciate you, as always, for sticking with us. Please share this episode with everybody. We'll be back for more in these pop culture streets. But in the meantime, as always, be blessed.
Bye.